girls home opener tonight, coming off a big win last night at Webb City. We're going to get into that. We're going to kind of talk about the season and what the expectations are for the Lebanon Lady Yellow Jackets. But I'm Ramsey, LEB TV and Jacket Nation Sports, and I'm sitting down with Coach Decker, head coach of the Lebanon High School Lady Yellow Jackets basketball team. What's up, Coach?
Not much. Glad to be here. I'm excited to talk about the girls and get the season going.
Well, we it's officially going, right? Last night, we'll get into that. Road win, Central Ozark Conference opener, inaugural game, Webb City. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it's just like you said, the first game of the COC, getting introduced to that right off the bat, and taking that trip to Webb City is half the battle in itself.
Yep.
The girls have not really had trips like that historically on our schedule, so getting introduced to that, the trip itself is half the battle. I've always heard you get off the bus and you're down 15 points just because of the trip, but our girls, they from the Jamboree to last night really showed a quick turnaround, and the word I would use is application, because the things that I saw in the Jamboree were not things that we want to go with for the season, and the way we played this summer was a whole different thing. So we were able to get into practice from the Jamboree until last night and focus on some key things that I want to emphasize this year and that the girls know they need to emphasize. And it was really cool to see that application in the game. Things like playing defense. It seems like such a simple concept, but really owning that and finishing possessions with rebounds, which was huge for us last night. And then the transition battle. A lot of the games played in transition, whether it's offense and defensively. So we outscored them in transition last night, 10-4, which doesn't seem like a big thing, but those transition points are demoralizing for opponents. Right. I mean, you get leak outs and easy buckets. You don't have to run an offense. It's super beneficial for your team. And then on the flip side of that, getting stops in transition, slowing the other team down, and it just makes things a whole lot more difficult for them. So we had a great team win last night, and not just a win, but more or less a blowout for us, which is, you don't always expect that.
Right.
And it was nice that it was a COC opponent.
Well, good. Well, we'll dive into kind of expectations for this season, but I want to get to know you a little bit. I want to understand a little bit better about how you kind of model your coaching, what your plans are for the program. And I know it's Tuesday night and home openers tonight against the Nevada Tigers. And I know one thing we're doing tonight is we're honoring the Popcorn Basketball League.
Yep.
So I want to specifically get into youth basketball, the program building. But before we do all that, just tell us a little bit about yourself, your family, a little bit of your history.
Welcome to Jacket Talk on LEB TV.
How much has your bank paid you? We've paid our Kasasa account holders more than $7 million since 2017. Open an account in minutes to get in on the earnings today.
My name is Jaysha Connor, owner and nurse practitioner here at Ginger Wellness. I believe that sometimes healthcare does too much, and I believe that's where wellness centers can really bridge that gap and really give people some confidence in natural ways, healthier ways, to really improve quality of life and to get healthy.
We want to feel better and live better lives. It's not about quantity, it's a lot about quality of your life.
Ginger Wellness is where I went to get my quality of life back.
You shouldn't have to give up the hometown bank experience to enjoy modern convenience. Just check our Google reviews about our in-person, online, and mobile banking experiences. Open an account in minutes today.
Yeah, so I'm a Lebanon born and raised kid. Graduated in 2007. Through high school, I played basketball and baseball. I loved basketball more, but I was better at baseball. So eventually, after I graduated, I got the opportunity to go play collegiately at College of the Ozarks, play baseball there, and I pitched for 4 years there and got my degree. And honestly, who I am now is directly related to that experience at C of O, because I really didn't know what I wanted to do in high school, and had a rough couple years there. I hurt my ankle, had a season-ending injury in basketball my senior year, and had to sit out and watch who I would consider one of my mentors in Kyle Paulson do his thing and be an exceptional coach. And he kind of came from that military type authoritative background, but he also loved on you at the same time. So I got to like really step back and see him for who he was, and at the time didn't think anything about coaching, but just really appreciated getting to be there on the bench and watch that stuff. And then after graduation, I went to C of O, and I met probably the most influential coach I've ever had in my lifetime, Gary West at C of O. He's the pitching coach there, and he's a pro scout. I mean, the guy knew the game really well, but the thing that I loved about him is that he cared about me as a person. Mm-hmm. It wasn't just what can you do for me on the field. It was how's your family? You doing good in classes? How's your spiritual life? You know, he was definitely there for you in that capacity, and truly loved that man. And then I got meningitis, which was kind of a crazy thing. Right. It's not something that you go to college and expect you're going to get. Yeah. And in back-to-back years, when you've had an ankle injury and then it was like pretty low point in my life. I was like, gosh, what is going on
next?
Yeah. And the meningitis was pretty serious, like to the point where like potentially die. So had a couple of really good roommates that got me where I needed to be, and a lot of really good doctors and nurses that got me the medicine I needed. And I was in the ICU for a little while. And I know my parents were probably not thinking this is as simple as that, but I woke up and they're like, you know why you're here? And I'm like, yeah, I got strep throat. They're like, not quite. So that's kind of a funny thing in a really dark moment in my life. But I say all that to say this is that at the time I didn't know what I wanted to be. And when I came out of that, I was like very blessed to know Kyle, very blessed to know Gary, and I knew that coaching is probably a calling for me. I know that people say that a lot, that coaching is a calling, and I think truthfully I was led that way based on those experiences that I've had. So after that, I graduated C of O and came back to Lebanon. It wasn't a goal. Like it wasn't like, hey, I need to get back to Lebanon and start my career, but the stars aligned, I guess. And so got back into coaching, got hired to do junior high football, high school basketball, boys basketball, and then freshman baseball. And so I did that for a number of years. Met my wife through basketball. Actually was coaching her younger brother.
Okay, what's your wife's name?
Jenna Decker, Jenna Millsap. So I was coaching her younger brother Trent, great player for the boys team, really good shooter. Just hit it off. Saw her in the stands one day. So yeah, I mean, simple as that.
All right,
caught my eye. Yeah.
Does she tell it the same way?
It might be a few DMs there somewhere, but no, it was really love at first sight. We've been married for 8 years. We got 3 beautiful kids. Ramsey, yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, my oldest daughter's name's Ramsey. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, she's 7. She's a first grader. She loves basketball, soccer, and being active. She's a big avid colorer too. She loves the color. She's a big artist. Yeah.
That's what we're doing in our house.
Yeah,
right now.
We love the artwork, and Dad gets a little bit itchy when it gets off of the paper and onto the table and the walls and stuff. So,
are you guys following YouTube videos yet?
Oh yeah,
oh
she loves it.
We just
ate up with
that.
it.
Is it that one guy and his son? That's the one we watched.
Yeah, we do a lot of. We're on to it's becoming Christmas season, so
Right.
she's big on Elf on the Shelf.
Yep.
So yeah, the elf's getting ready to come back soon, and
so many things are just
oh yeah,
like, it
yeah,
happens.
you can resonate, yeah, for sure. So yeah, that's Ramsey. She's my oldest. And then Rowan's my middle child.
Okay.
She's a 4-year-old girl. She's also interested in soccer, and we call her Chucky.
Chucky?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's, I don't know if my wife would be happy with me telling you this story, but she's got a personality, that typical middle child.
Yeah.
She's a character. Keeps you on your toes for sure. I'd say she gets a lot of that from my wife. Sorry, Jenna. But she's a preschooler right now at ABC Academy.
Okay.
And then my youngest is named Rip.
Rip,
He's a
okay.
2-year-old, strapping young dude, pretty
Okay.
strong little guy. Big into tools. Didn't get
Tools?
that from me.
Okay.
Loves working with his papas.
Okay.
And anything Hulk and Spider-Man is him, man.
Hulk and Spider-Man.
Yeah, he
All right.
eats all that up. So that's kind of my family in a nutshell.
So your girl dad.
Girl dad.
Talked with Coach Toombs a lot about that.
Yep.
He's what's on your TV at home and who's in charge? The girls?
Yeah, well, I mean, here's the thing. They've got their iPads. So
Yeah.
the iPads are hot. I mean, those things get used a lot.
Are you guys a when the battery's dead house, or do you?
We've moved on from batteries dead to we put them on a timer because
Okay.
it can get kind of obsessive.
Mhm.
Like I said, Ramsey loves the coloring videos.
Mhm.
Rowan likes a little bit of everything. Actually walked into her room the other day and it was kind of some like heavy breathing and some loud banging, and I walked in there and she had taken and put on her workout clothes.
Okay.
A nice little matching set, and she was
Right.
doing a workout video. So
Okay.
I was kind of proud. I'm like, we talk about screen time a lot
Right.
as a society, but I'm like, hey, she's being active, so
Right.
not that bad. So
As a parent, there's such a balance of that because again, you walk in and you're like, oh, you've been on a lot, but then about the time you're like, you've been on a lot, they're like looking at bugs and
Mhm.
it's a science thing, and you're
Yeah.
like, well, it adds 10 more minutes
Yeah.
to it, you know?
yeah, there's definitely a fine line there. We have the ABC Mouse. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's kind of an educational app.
Mm-hmm.
So our kids do actually use it quite a bit, and it's been beneficial for them. So I don't usually gripe when they're on that.
Right.
Usually it's when they start going down the dark holes of just cooking videos, or there's like one the other day it was like Russian. Like just Russian. I'm like, you don't even know what they're saying, Ramsey. I don't even know what you're like. Why are you even on that? So
Do any of yours watch like families? Like we watch A for Adley, not Natasha or some other family.
Yep. That one's
You know
big.
exactly
yeah.
what we're on the
And it's
same
like,
page.
where do they get all these props at? Like they're like spending all their income on playhouses and
Does yours ever walk up and is like, oh, I need you to, here's what we're going to do. I need you to pretend that you're this thing. And then you went to this place and did this. And then while you were there, this happened. And then by the end of it, you realize that it's this. And
Yeah.
you're like,
yeah, I'm lost.
you're
Yeah.
like, can we just focus
Can we
on
just
like,
play like
like cops and robbers
Yeah.
or something?
yeah, grocery store. Like I don't know what. Can we just do that? I walked in last night at 11:30 or whatever it was. I got home and there were sticky notes everywhere.
Oh,
Just they got into sticky notes, and it was literally like room 1, room 2. So I'm
Right.
guessing it was like hotel or motel. I don't know what was going on, but
literally played every one
Yep.
of those at my
Yep.
house. And it's like, if it's not dressing up and changing into princess outfits or
Oh, yeah.
whatever, it's some sort of like who done it, paint by numbers,
Mhm.
paint by room, whatever. So
absolutely.
I'm glad I can relate to what
Yeah.
you're going through a lot.
Yep.
So
Yep.
and the fact that you have a child named Ramsey is
Yeah.
pretty cool because I think
Yeah.
there's only like 4 in the world.
I think so too.
So, all right. So come back to you C of O, get meningitis. Still don't understand how a healthy athletic person in college gets meningitis, but it happens. So,
Yeah.
so that's fine. So, decide you mentioned Coach West and
Yep.
and then Kyle Paulson.
Kyle Paulson. Yep.
So you wake up, you're feeling good, you're back to normal, and you're like, hey, I want to be a coach.
Yeah, I mean, it took a while for the ankle, and it took a while for the meningitis to get back to full strength. Obviously, I'm kind of slow playing all that, but yeah, I mean, those two, and then obviously, earlier than that would be Jackie Payne.
Mhm.
You're familiar with Jackie Payne, and so I got a heavy dose of
Coach
Jackie.
Payne would not have approved
Oh
of this
no,
facial
no,
hair.
no! He would have handed me the razor.
Right.
Yeah, like you're not playing, son. And I would have done it. I would have shaved it
Right.
right then and there. No questions asked. But when you're genetically at a disadvantage, I think my wife says I look like a thumb if I shave my beard. So she would kill me if I ever did that. So, but I got a heavy dose of Jackie early in my life. He really believed in me when I at a young age. Like I didn't even know I was even that good of an athlete, but I still have the paper at home where he wrote a handwritten note to me and my mom when I was like a second or third grader, like identifying me to be like a young jacket basketball player or something
Oh,
to
wow.
that nature. Yeah, like super cool. Like that always resonated
That would
in my
have been
mind.
like if let's just generality. If you're second or third grade, that'd have been probably early 2000s, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, it was early on, and I mean, I've always been a big kid.
Right.
Like I literally think I was this height in sixth grade, and
Okay.
probably shaving at that point. So I was always that kid that was carrying a birth certificate around everywhere I went. That was just part. It became part of the routine.
Okay.
But I know that kind of ticked my parents off a lot. But yeah, I mean, even with the size, take the size away, it was just cool that he identified me as a future player of his, and then for that to eventually pan out. And you know, obviously didn't get to spend my 4 years with Jackie through high school for obvious reasons, but I'm thankful that I had the time with him that I had, and then the time with Kyle my last 2 years of high school, because I think the styles that I have taken from both of those guys to make my own now as a head coach have become full circle. So I got a heavy dose of Jackie then, but I also got a heavy dose of Jackie when he
Came
got
back.
hired. Yeah.
Right.
So super cool opportunity because, and honestly, my wife's probably ticked about this too, but I had just given up football, given up junior high football. I'm out on the baseball field coaching. I'm varsity assistant for the baseball. I coached baseball for 10 years. He just, no true Jackie fashion, just walks through the gate right out onto the field. I'm out there in the middle of we're doing team warm-ups. He just walks past the kids. They're all like, who's this guy? I mean, Donald Trump looking guy, you know what I mean? Just walks right past them. He's like, hey, I need an assistant. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I got hired as a girls coach. I need an assistant.
I'll get back to you, Coach.
I'm like, I'll get back to you. He's like, well, let me know. Let me know. I'm
5
like,
minutes ago.
yeah. So went home, told the wife, I was like, hey, this is an opportunity. This guy's a Hall of Famer. Played for him, respect him dearly. I mean, like a father figure to me. And she's like, we just gave up football. I'm like, yeah, this pays a little bit more though. She's like, she finally agreed to it. So I told Jackie I'd jump on board with him as the assistant, and it was probably the best five years I've had coaching, period. It was just a really good relationship that we had. Could bounce things off each other at any time. The cool thing about Jackie was it wasn't the true hierarchy, I'm the head coach. He was like, day one, you're associate head coach. And a lot of people would look at it oh, he's just giving you busy work. He was preparing me
Right.
100%. I don't look at it any other way. The man literally let me do everything. And if I messed up, he's going to take the fall for it. But if I was successful, he's going to let me have that success. So I do owe him a lot of, as far as the basketball side of stuff, where I'm at and how I manage things, and my organization stuff was because of him letting me do my thing and essentially run the team behind the scenes.
Right.
And so it was a really cool opportunity, and something that not a lot of Hall of Famers would willingly just say, hey,
Right.
take that and roll with it. You're good.
There's an ego in coaching.
Yeah, there is.
And to see someone of his caliber, I know I got to play for Coach Payne as a youngster, and watching him develop, and I think I had a conversation with somebody. It was Kevin. I was sitting down with Kevin, and we were talking about some of the former basketball teams, and we talked about, I think it was the 97, 98 team coached by Coach Payne, and how those players how they played and then how we played, and then we watched, and he definitely had something. He had a system that he went by, and we joke about you couldn't have facial hair, but I mean that was the rule, like
it.
thumb below the ear, I think it was,
Yep.
and then and you dressed up every game, and you had certain things, and you had to wear team shoes, and I'm actually I thought of this morning before I was getting here, but remember the 2 sock rule?
Oh yeah. Inside out with the first set. Yeah.
I was putting on my sock this morning and knowing we were doing these interviews, and one was inside out, and I almost put it on. I was like, in high school, I would have put that on and then put one over it. But the one thing that didn't do was keep your shoes from stinking.
Yeah, no.
It kept you from getting blisters.
Yeah.
But you ran and ran and ran and ran some more.
Oh yeah.
So with that being said, tell me a specific thing you took from Jackie that you implement now as a coach.
Well, I mean, his motto has always been physically aggressive, mentally alert. So, I mean, whether that's spoken to the kids or not, I think it's ingrained in the way I approach the coaching for them. He also had a phrase of, you only have so many bullets in your gun, especially talking with these girls. Like, girls is a whole different beast. And I don't say beast in a bad way. It's just different. And I get this like, man, you're calm. You're really calm. You're really calm. You're almost too calm. You're too patient. Yes and no.
Right.
The girls know that I have expectations for them. And when they don't meet those expectations, one of those bullets gets used. And I don't say that in a bad way, but they know when I mean business, and they know when I'm, being fun, and I'm Coach Decker and we're having a good time. But he always made it clear that you can't always be using your bullets because they won't respond.
Right.
And boys and girls are a lot different when it comes to basketball, especially. It's the boys have to play good to feel good. Girls have to feel good to play good.
Right.
So
never really thought of that.
Yeah, it's a big psychological thing with the girls. So there's a fine line between getting after them productively,
right,
and loving on them, because at the end of the day, if they don't feel good, they're not going to play good, and they're not gonna do everything that you are expecting of them.
Right.
And so I always keep that in the back of my mind. So when people are always like, man, you're too calm, too patient, you need to get after them more, I'm like, I get after them enough. They know when I'm mad. They know when they need to pick up their play. So that was really one of the big things that Jackie, instilled in me. Now, obviously, I'm going to steal some plays from him.
Right.
Schematically, I mean, the guy didn't have a 40-year Hall of Fame career.
Still run Alley Cat?
For no reason. We haven't put that in yet. Stalling in girl, and I wouldn't say necessarily it's a stall, but somewhat of a stall offense. But stalling in girls basketball is not the greatest thing. No, it usually doesn't end up well.
Right. What about Yellow Jacket?
The jacket fast break, yeah.
What about? Go ahead. Sorry, I'll ask some more.
No, we've had it in the system. I've kind of gotten away from it. The thing I also learned from Jackie is you got to put people in the right places.
Right.
So when you look at your roster each year, things change. Personnel matters. Obviously, you can't run stuff if your personnel is not great. So we have a set system that we like to run, but we try to mold that to fit our players so that they're successful. I mean, obviously, you're not going to try to, go against the grain and do something they're not able to do.
Not putting a square peg in a round hole.
Absolutely.
And I think as Coach Toombs mentioned, know your personnel, KYP. Something you use.
Yep.
Same.
Yep. That's from coaches to kids. That's also kids to kids.
Right. I
mean, that's something that we tell our kids, like, hey, you're not going to throw this certain pass to a kid if you know they can't catch it.
Right.
Like, you got to know that on the floor as well. So
you guys, Barton County?
We run some Barton County, yeah.
What was the other one he used to have?
11 man.
11 man.
Yep.
11 man was my favorite.
Okay, so you'd be in with the girls. Like, the girls love 11 man.
Okay.
Like, they love the free play.
Right.
And I think it's because it can be selfish, but selfish is a good thing sometimes, especially when you're talking about skill development. We want them to be, selfish and get better as an individual player. Barton County is more of a team game, and I don't think they like I don't think they like that as much because then their buddy gets beat,
Right.
you know. So that's another psychological thing with the girls too. But we have a few that like it. Barton County was always my favorite because it made it seem more game like.
Right.
But
11 man.
11 man, there is something about 11
You
man
can
that's
just have fun.
Oh, you
it's
can
kind
get
of
out
that
there.
backyard practice.
It's like structured fun. Yeah,
Right.
it's definitely when I say 11 man, you will hear the biggest roar in our practices. That's for sure.
Yeah, we used to run that. I mean, I think it was every practice.
Yeah.
11 man. So now you mentioned Coach Payne. Let's talk about Paulson.
Yep.
Because it's clear, you made it very clear that there's 3 coaches that have really kind of shaped you.
Yeah.
So what about Coach Paulson?
So, I mean, obviously, I had mentioned the ankle injury. Like, literally, when you're out and you have nothing else to do, like, there's nothing productive that I could have done for our team other than be supported from the bench. But like, it allowed me to pick things from him. The way that he managed us was a big thing. I say authoritative. It was just structured. It was strict. It was. Jackie's practices were great. We learned a lot, and a lot of it was offensive minded, which looking back, I'm like very thankful for. Paulson was like the opposite. Jackie's were long practices. Paulson's were like quick, efficient, like up pace. Like you did not walk from point to point.
Right.
There was very little downtime, and it was defensive oriented.
Okay.
Like, so my crew of seniors that I graduated with, we got a nice balance of offense and defense in our high school careers. And I think of all of us, I'm the only one that became a coach. So panned out.
Yeah.
But his style of defense, I love man-to-man. That's just, I feel like if you can't run a man-to-man defense, you're going to struggle running anything else.
All right.
That's something that this program in general has just kind of gotten away from. So last year was a little bit of a learning curve.
Right.
Because I think in a lot of people's minds, especially nowadays, zone is like code for I'm going to go stand in one spot and rest. to be blunt, I mean, that's not how it's supposed to be. But the man-to-man is like, it's like, I got to stop you. Like,
Right.
and if I don't stop you, it's very obvious that I didn't stop you. Or if I didn't help my teammate. We always use the analogy of it's 5 people working together, you're the fist, you know? So it's not always just me stopping you, but it's me helping my teammate next to me on each side of me, making sure that we accomplish the same goal, which again kind of goes back to last night.
You have the girls point like
No,
Coach
well,
Payne used to,
yeah,
right?
well, yeah.
If you're on help
Yeah,
side.
you're seeing man, seeing ball, yeah.
yeah.
So they don't necessarily point. We don't go that far, but I think they laugh at me if I use that analogy. But he used to use the guns, the old Western gunslinger guy. Yeah.
Triple threat position.
Triple threat, baby. Yeah. Triple threat on the whistle. Yeah. We still use that a little bit. We've kind of gotten away from that, but
Did you carry over no negative seconds from him?
no negative seconds.
That's a big one.
Yep. We've got one right now that's going through the no negative seconds course.
Okay.
So yeah, she's learning. She's getting a lot better. No names.
It all comes full circle. I'm fairly certain I saw Coach Payne driving through town yesterday.
Oh, I'm sure you did.
So and he always, I gave up basketball in my junior year, but he's never treated me differently. He was really cool, and my mom cut his wife's hair, and so I got to see a little bit behind the scenes. But I can tell in talking to you, and again, we're reminiscing about negative seconds and beef and kiss and all the stuff. We talked to Coach Toombs about it, but it's cool to see because when you're a sophomore, junior in high school, like you're not paying attention to that. You are, but you're not. You're paying attention to it right then and there, but as soon as practice is over. So that brings me what I want to get into more, and I've asked all the coaches this, but you've been coaching at Lebanon for how long?
Oh, this is my 13th year.
13th year. So you're 17 years removed from playing, right?
Yeah.
What's it like? Could Coach Decker now handle Coach Decker as the player?
Yeah, probably.
Were you an outlier though? I would. I'm maybe assuming there. But
I've always, well, like, and I'm hoping I'm answering your question the right way, but I've always been a structured person.
Okay.
I get that from my dad. Like,
Okay.
it's like, this has got to be a certain way.
Right.
Like, everything's got a place. My time is organized. When I went to C of O, it's like OCD on steroids because of, like, you got to manage your time,
right.
especially as an athlete. Like, there's only so many hours in a day. I got so many classes. I got to go to work. I gotta get to practice. I got to get my meals in. I got to get my homework done. Like, it's not for everyone.
Right.
Like, it's the best decision I ever made, but a lot of people can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So when I came back, like, that is like who I have become. Like, I think people are like, man, you're picky about, like, I'm picky down to the minute for practice. Like,
Man, I wish I could be that way.
it's good and bad
Right.
because I break it a lot of times.
Right.
People don't know that, but I mean,
They do now.
I'll be honest with you. I get home and it's like, my wife hates it.
You get home and you're like,
Yeah.
screw times.
Yeah,
Like,
like-
I'm here.
Like, get my show on the TV. I'm taking a
What
break.
is your show, by the way?
Well, my son's named Rip, so
Okay.
Yellowstone's a big
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
I'm a kind of a nerd when it comes to Curse of Oak Island. If you ever watched that or not,
No, but
don't start
Yeah,
because
'cause
you'll
you-
waste 10 years of your
Right.
life. I've wasted
Everyone
10
I know
years of my
that
life.
watches it
I've
just is
wasted
like,
10. Don't watch that at home.
this is the chance. They're going to find
yeah,
it. And then,
yeah, top pocket find.
right.
Yeah,
No,
I'm getting you off track. I'm
no,
sorry.
it's all right. But let's get back to it because
Yes, I think that I could handle me in high school. I really wasn't a crazy kid.
right.
Just played sports. I mean, that was my life. Literally played sports. I ran cross country a couple seasons just because my buddies did it, and I thought I'll just do that to stay in shape. I did that, in fact, before Paulson got here because that dude liked to run. But like I said, he's a defensive-minded guy, and like there's a certain conditioning level that you have to have.
Time out though. We got to circle back to a Coach Payne thing.
Okay.
Growing up, 7th grade on, that first week of practice tryouts,
Yeah.
you had to run 40 laps.
Oh, yeah.
Is that still a thing?
No, no. So
But you remember what
no,
I'm
I
talking
remembered
about.
it. Yeah,
that was
because I'm
the
scarred
first
from it.
thing.
I think a little bit. Yeah, it's and like when you really think about it, it's like, man, it's not very much.
No, it's not.
It just sounds like a lot.
But when you're 14, 15 years
Yeah,
old, you're like,
this is the end of the world.
We'll do line drills all day long.
I would rather do a line drill than
But I think it was because it was the only thing other than maybe the mic and drill that you had if I remember right, you had to do it in a certain amount of time. And
Yeah.
kind of like the military, like it was your PT.
Well, we do a skills test.
Okay.
I honestly, that's one thing I forgot. I'm glad you said that because we did steal the skills test. Like
Okay.
everything down to other than the 40 laps because we're living in a different world. The
Right.
girls see 40 laps, they're like, I don't know. I'll see you next year.
Right.
Pick up a different sport.
Yeah, they want to have fun.
So that's where like 11 man comes in handy. Like we can get a lot of running in,
Right.
and they don't think anything other than we're just playing basketball.
You're tricking them.
Yeah, you're tricking them.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. So back to that. When as a coach now, a seasoned coach, veteran, what is the difference between player coach Decker and Coach Decker? What are you seeing in the student athlete in general? And are you adapting to it?
Yeah, you have to. I mean, it's a different world we're living in. It's like this stuff right here. It's like they want to see themselves.
Right.
They want, as a player, I wasn't always into like coach said, hey, this is your jersey. Okay. Here's your warm up. Okay. Here's your bag. Okay. It's a little different now. Like I know that they want that stuff. So it's stuff that I've actively made sure that we get for our kids. Like we got new Under Armour bags. We got new jerseys this year. Shout out Coach Christian for those. We're getting, I mean, you name it, we're getting it for them. We try not to make them pay for anything. Like that stuff helps.
Right.
And like I said, that all ties back into them feeling good.
Right.
Like how if you look good, you're gonna feel good. You're gonna play good. You've heard that before. So
Coach Prime.
yeah. So I mean, it's stuff like that. The social media presence. I call it small victories in our program.
Okay.
We brought Facebook. We got on Facebook with our program. We're on Twitter with our program. I'm sure we'll expand from there eventually. But they like seeing that stuff. They like seeing pictures of themselves on different on our sites and stuff, and shout outs and stuff like that. So, and we feed them. Girls love food.
Yeah.
They love food. We feed them, and
Your house
they're
get hangry?
very
Yeah.
They're very thankful for that. So yeah, I mean, there's a certain level of adaptability that you have to have, and like I said, I could as a player get my butt chewed and be like, all right, let's go. It's not like that anymore. I got a few that will do that, but just
how do you? This is something that just came to our mind, but like what you said, and I think there's a disconnect. Parents, adults, whatever. How do you equate those things to building a program? Like how do you, or how do I, or how would somebody watching this, like you mentioned social media. A lot of folks don't understand it. They know that they're on it. They know they see it, but I don't think we've yet to be able to correlate or relate how giving student athletes that exposure, how that helps build these programs and these traditions. And I think so. Kind of, can you quantify that, or can you kind of tell us or give us a win or an example?
Well, I mean,
it's kind of a loaded question.
It is a loaded question. You can use this stuff. The problem is you want it to be something that's going to make them feel good.
Right.
What turns into a problem is that, and we have great parents, don't get me wrong, but there are people out there that when they don't see their kid on there, it turns into a negative thing. And that's where the line has to be drawn a little bit. We're using it to make them feel good. It can also be used as a recruiting tool too.
Right.
I mean, nowadays is one of the biggest thing is how much more exposure a kid has if they're trying to get recruited via stuff like this and our Facebook posts and putting stats on max preps and huddle film clips. And
right.
I mean, the list goes on and on and on. It's just whether or not we keep the main thing.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, my goal is to try to get this kid to college, whether they play or not.
Right.
My goal is to make sure they're a decent human being, that they learn teamwork and communication and accountability and all the things that you've heard from every coach, I'm sure. But that is our ultimate goal, and we're just using social media as a platform to get them there and like I said, make them feel the right kind of way so that they'll do great things.
Right.
Whether it's them scoring 30 points in a game or whether they made an impact on a popcorn youth kid.
Right.
Because that's where it comes full circle, is that impact that they have on the next group.
Right.
And you say that with your seniors every year, how are they going to leave that legacy or whatever, but it's a definite thing that has to keep cycling through. And what we're getting right now is a huge movement with our youth.
Yeah.
We've got a lot going on. The Lab, Jordan Walton, huge. Cameron Cromer, Pure Sweat, she's doing a lot of good stuff. And our popcorn stuff is,
right.
Beneficial for identifying kids to get going on stuff like that. I'm kind of getting off topic here, but
no, it's all stuff I was going to ask.
You see the social media presence with both of those organizations,
right?
And then you just add that to us, and it's just a huge cycle, and it's starting to catch fire on the girls' side, which is something that's huge for us because we've just not had it for the longest time.
You're casting a net.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're getting out there and you're showing, because what I think is kind of interesting, and from kind of an outsider, but like these high school kids now, it's kind of, they're that first level of like second nature.
Yep.
And if seeds were planted 10 years ago when Facebook was starting and social media and YouTube, like now it's such a normalcy for them that they're kind of sitting here going like, I expect it. Like, where is it? When am I going to take funny pictures or media days, or when am I going to make the hype video? We know Swino does those every year, but the side of those is that program building. It's getting those kids, because as they're growing up and they want to be involved in that, they want to see their picture there. They're looking at, so like, how are you kind of harnessing that stuff to directly impact the youth? Because it just seems like it's a no-brainer.
It's like 11 man. We're tricking them. We're scratching an itch for the kids at our level, which in turns, it's like It's like me having that letter from Coach Payne as a second grader. If I had media for, if I could look at Sean Allenstein and see him,
Right.
I mean, the dude was amazing. Like, everybody wanted to be Sean, but I only got to see him when he played at home.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't back then. You just didn't travel that much. So
Right.
it's like these young kids are seeing our high school kids get exposure.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're involved. Now it's like,
Right.
all right, I want to get in on that. And then they go to Cam, they go to Jordan. They're getting exposure on there. Now as a young kid, they're starting to get a little bit of that. Again, we got to find that fine line.
Right. The balance.
The balance. And it's like goes back to our kids watching their iPads and on the TV all the time. There's a balance with everything, but if it can positively impact them to want to be a player so that one day now they're in that high school role, hopefully those high schoolers are coming back to the community, supporting us in that capacity because they had a good experience, or their coaches or whatever that, they have kids and now their kids are in the program. It just needs to be that full cycle. We want those youth kids to see those high school kids because that's just promoting them to be involved in our activities and make them want to be good players.
Right. And I think it's different too because like that sort of stuff happened when I was in high school. It happened when you were in high school, but like we didn't. And maybe it's because it wasn't in front of our face as much, or we had to wait for the newspaper to come out or whatever. But like, there's always been that idea and that notion of involving the older kids with the younger kids. But now we're able to do it so much more in front of people.
Mm-hmm.
And so watching these kids, because I know like what they're seeing and as you take football with the youth program, we talked with Coach Rogers about what the wrestling group is doing, and you even alluded to it. And like tonight, we're going to honor the popcorn basketball. But like, what are you seeing? What are you seeing in the program on the rise as far as like numbers and that sort of thing?
Well, we had, 35 kids, girls, 2nd through 5th grade for popcorn, which doesn't seem like a lot. It's not a whole lot, but it's 35 more than we used to have playing.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we're only in our 2nd year. It's continuing to get bigger. With our camps, we've had over 100 kids 2 straight years in a row, which is huge. That's, again, something we've not had for a while, and that's kindergarten through 8. So the numbers game is a big thing.
Right.
I think across the board in every sport, you'll hear numbers are down. The goal is, though, not just to increase our numbers just for the sake of having numbers, but like literally develop those numbers that we have to be productive players so that we have a good program. I think that's everybody's goal. And I think that goes back to why it's so important to have Jordan at the lab and Cam at Pure Sweat, knowing that those folks are going to directly impact our capacity to be a solid program. It's like it's a huge family. We can't, as high school coaches and junior high coaches, do it all alone. But yeah, we gotta do the best we can do with our youth. It starts kindergarten. It's crazy how young it gets. Probably. My daughter's a preschooler. We're going to start her with the basketball team. Like, you have to get to them early. You got to get them to have the itch.
And you mentioned you got to keep it fun.
It has to be fun. 100%. It cannot just be all structure. It has to be some free play and fun. It's like 11-man. We can do all the drills in the world, but I yell 11-man out, and it's going to be it's on, man. It's on.
So let's talk, obviously, McCowan. Reagan doing amazing things. What does the success of someone like Reagan mean to your program, and how are you seeing the kids in the program now? Because not only is Reagan having success, but girls basketball is on a rocket ship.
It's on fire right now.
How is that changing things?
Yeah, Reagan coming through our program is one thing. I think people forget. I don't think they forget, but it gets lost. Is that Kelsey Winfrey came through our program too, and Reagan doesn't do what Reagan does without Kelsey Winfrey. If that makes any sense, because Reagan was such a goal-oriented kid that, like, before she even stepped foot in high school, she was over there looking at the record boards.
Right.
I'm breaking that record. I'm breaking that. Going down the list, and as she tells the story, she had a list in her bedroom that she looked at nightly.
Right.
I'm sure, and obsessed over it. And those are the kind of kids that you got to get in your program to be like elite.
Right.
And we want to have a ton of Reagan McCowans, but it all goes back to her being goal driven. It goes back to her being obsessed. It goes back to her having parents that really invested. They saw her potential, saw her desire, gave her every opportunity. She took those opportunities, ran with them. That is so impactful for kids.
Mm-hmm.
When you're a youth kid and you're like, oh my gosh, it's Reagan McCowan.
Right.
There's Kelsey Winfrey. There's Bodie Cox. There's Morgan Durbin. There's Madison. The list goes on and on. It's like so impactful. And it doesn't always have to be scoring, but it's like when you watch Reagan play, and we were talking out here, like she doesn't do things a lot of girls do.
Right.
And we were talking about, NCAA women's last year and now the WNBA. It's like girls are not doing things that girls normally have done in the past. It's like the game is changing. They're emulating the men's game a little bit more. The athleticism's getting off the charts. It's just crazy that the game is changing that quickly, and because of it, it's exploding. It's really taking
it's like
off.
instant too. And I mean, you've got Caitlin Clark, Flau'jae Johnson, the other girl from LSU, losing her name right now. Angel Reese,
yeah.
Just the stuff, the girl from UConn this year that's going to be number one. We talked briefly about that other girl that's a junior. I forget her name, but like, it seems like whenever we were in high school, like there was like one name, maybe Cheryl Miller, like in my day.
I knew Jackie Stiles, and I knew Janessa DeMuth.
Right. So like now, and then
Molly Miller.
Back to, but yeah, and I've seen her on some short lists for some pretty crazy names, games.
I've stole some stuff. Hey, I steal some stuff from her all the time.
Well, we're seeing those things, but again, it goes back to what you were talking about with the social media, with the like that's how we've been introduced to those people is through this, and that's all we're trying to do, and what you've said, what you guys are trying to do as a program is because that's what the kids are looking for. They still want to show up to practice 5 days, 6 days a week, at 6 o'clock in the morning if they have to, but they need that other little itch. They got to scratch that other itch.
Yeah, it's a little push to them.
Right.
How many minutes? I mean, it's crazy to think of how many games got covered last year on ESPN,
right?
Because of Caitlin Clark,
right?
Paige Beckers and all those, Angel Reese. It's like that's the reason. Right. It's the social media aspect. It's the media. It just takes a few to do it, and like we said, it's caught on like wildfire, and I don't see it stopping. And I hopefully, like we were talking about out there, that we get a local team here in the NBA to help continue that, especially in our area.
Are you as a coach having to maybe not yet, maybe obviously you mentioned it, players are having to emulate. How are you embracing the style of an individual athlete versus how you want to coach? How do you kind of?
Well, I mean, obviously a lot of our players need to play within our system, but I let them play.
Right.
They all have their different elements that make them successful, and you can't take that away from them. I can't cage them in.
Right.
We want them to obviously do, the things that we're trying to emphasize. But a player like Morgan Durbin, she's gonna be Big Mo. Like, she gets an open look, shoot it, baby. Like,
right.
you're not holding.
Shoot.
Yeah, you're not holding up. I mean, that's something that's over the last 2 years with her. It's like shoot, miss, confidence is down. I'm not shooting again. Mo, you got to shoot it, girl. You got to be in her ear. Shoot it, girl. They all have their own styles, though, and individually in practice, during the season, it's hard to like emphasize that. I mean, for the most part, we're covering a lot of skill stuff, but majority of it's team stuff. The summer's where it's real big.
Right.
The summer's huge for the kids, and that's something that's a paradigm shift for parents. I think they need to understand is that it can't just be October to March or November to March. Like it has to be March to October.
Right.
It has to be the other side. That's what's going to make our teams better.
Right.
When individually they're better, we're going to be a better team. So that's where they can like get that imprint of their style or their flair, or their abilities to do different things are going to make us better as a team. And again, that's Jordan, that's Cam. They get to spend that time. If they want that extra time during the season, that's where they're going to get it. And we encourage it. We want them to go do that stuff.
Right. I know, Cam's just kind of getting started in it, but she has the experience. She traveled all over the country playing basketball, and I know Jordan's doing some cool stuff. And what's cool is both are just more than willing to help.
Yeah.
They'll answer the phone, they'll do what they need to do. And I know Coach Toombs mentioned it, but having it in our backyard.
Yeah. It's something that you don't have everywhere else.
Right.
Like I don't think people realize what a luxury it is to have these people here.
Uh-huh.
And I know they're two separate entities, and maybe there's some competition there, but at the end of the day, it's Lebanon kids playing basketball.
Right.
It's boys and girls. It's something that we haven't had before. It's huge.
Right.
I mean, I can't. It's hard to put into words how important it is for our programs, both boys and girls.
Right. Well, it's going to be fun to watch, and I think it's healthy competition, too.
It is. It is.
Anytime you have it is good.
And they're going back and forth. Some of these kids go back and forth.
Right.
And it's just like it's just like me talking to my high school kids. We want multi-sport athletes. I have to have the head coaching hat on. I have to wear the AD hat at sometimes.
Yeah.
I have to look for kids, and the big thing I tell my kids is, I don't want you just playing my sport, because I might say something the same way as another, or I might say something that another coach might say, same topic, but you might be saying it in a different way.
Right.
That's going to resonate in you a little bit better, and it might click for you.
Right.
And then you can bring that back to our program. So with those two, I think it's the same thing. They're so qualified. They're such great players, both in high school and college, and they've got the tools to make kids complete players.
Well, it's going to be cool to watch. I want to dive in a little bit. Defense, man or zone?
Man-to-man first.
Man-to-man first. You
Yep.
mentioned that
I mean,
earlier.
if you can't guard in the half court, you're not going to guard.
Okay.
I like to extend it. This is where the Kyle Paulson effect comes up. We run our run and jump, press. I love that. I just love the havoc that it causes. It causes a lot of chaos. The other team has to be right on top of everything and make proper passes and reads. Otherwise, it's going to be a steal and a layup for us.
Yeah, you're forcing them to make the decisions.
And usually it's a long pass. They have to hit somebody on the run or something like that. It's a lot of things have to go right to be successful offensively against it. Secondarily, we're working into a 1-3-1.
Okay.
So it's, again, causing havoc, playing passing lanes, using length and athleticism a little bit. We've got a couple girls that can do some stuff and get after it a little bit, and really just trying to get our hands on a ball or make them make a stupid pass so we can take advantage.
All right. So I asked Coach Toombs this. I didn't give him enough context, so I'm going to try to give you a little bit more context.
Okay.
Up 3, 10 seconds left on the clock. The other team is inbounding from under your basket. You fouling?
What's the foul situation look like?
They're in double bonus. Or is it called double bonus anymore?
Well, it's just the bonus now.
Okay,
When they get to 5, they get 2. They
Okay.
took away the 1-on-1.
Right.
So I'm not a huge fan of that, but they say it speeds the game up. I don't know if it does. No. I don't want to foul.
You can take the shot.
I don't want to foul.
Let them.
Again, it goes back to the girls' game. It's a little bit. It can get kind of freaky if you're like, "Hey, foul this girl." That would typically turn into like an intentional foul.
Right.
So I'd rather than just not say foul, and then if they do foul, we can live with the repercussions of what happens. But usually, when you try to throw a curveball like that at girls, it doesn't always work out. That's why I said like stalling is not always the strongest move. Like last night, we're up big. It's like we're just pedal to the metal, like
keep pushing.
Like
scored 69 points last night.
That was huge for us.
A lot of girls' games are like 32 to 47.
That's something that Jackie emphasized when we came in. Like we scored, I think we scored 90 something points in a game his first year. It's like this is girls basketball. It's like, yeah, we can play this way. It's just a style. It's a temperament.
Guard the inbound pass or not, or is it dependent on the situation?
I love guarding the inbounder.
Long and lanky, or quick? Who would you rather have?
Long and lanky, Lily Bradbury, Ray Guccione.
Rayleigh's playing. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
So we dove in a little bit of your coaching style. Let's talk a little bit about what to expect. Again, tonight's home opener.
Yep.
Against Nevada.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about the season and what you're looking forward to.
Well, I mean, obviously the COC is a change for us. I think a lot of people look at that and they're like, you know, that's an uphill battle. Yeah, it's an uphill battle, but who doesn't like competition? Who doesn't like challenges? I mean, you play the game for challenges. I mean, it's not meant to be a cakewalk and super easy. So that is a new thing for us, though. We're going to have to adapt and adjust. And some of the things that we're emphasizing this year because of that is toughness and conditioning, 50-50 balls, any loose ball, we got to have it. Our girls are showing that in the first couple, the jamboree, and then the last night we got some girls diving on the floor and stuff. So that's big for us. As far as tournaments, Fairgrove tournament will be next week. It's a gauntlet. I mean, it's a small school. I say small school, mainly class 4s, class 3s,
right?
But some good teams, like really, really good teams. So we got the 6th seed in that. We'll play Rogersville the first round, Tuesday the 3rd.
My stepbrother's the coach of Fairgrove.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Coach at Lebanon.
Okay.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. I didn't know that.
Yep.
Yeah, they got a good program. Really good team.
Won the state title last year.
Yeah. Football, I mean, that place is going off right now.
There's a
Volleyball,
lot going
basketball,
on.
football's potentially playing for a state championship.
Right.
So, so we got Fairgrove tournament. We've got the pink and white, which is a big one.
Yep.
The cool thing about that one is there's no more out of state
Yeah.
schools in that one anymore. So it's all locals, which is kind of nice. Don't have to worry about that. And then we go to Osage, down at the School of the Osage for our final tournament, end of January. So outside of that, we just got a handful of non-cons. So didn't get to keep Camdenton, which was kind of it just didn't work out.
Right.
But
It's always next year.
yeah. But no, we're excited. I got 5 seniors that are great leaders. I mean, couldn't ask for a better.
Or Morgan.
Yeah, we got Morgan Durbin, Madison Myers, Faith Kaufman, Madeline Hilton, and Kendall Bybee. So 5 really solid kids. I mean, leaders every single day in everything they do, and not just vocally, but by example. So super blessed.
How would you describe this year's team? Hardworking, finesse, run and gun. Like, how would you paint that picture?
Cohesive.
Cohesive. Okay.
Yeah. They
Everybody
work well
knows-
together.
Okay.
They really work well together. Energetic. We're emphasizing the 3 E's: energy, effort, enthusiasm.
Okay.
We are also emphasizing bench energy. That's a Molly Miller thing we stole.
Okay. Energy.
Bench energy.
Okay. Cool.
So that's something that we're pushing for. You're not in the game, you can still be involved.
Right. It's huge.
It's huge.
Just that support and even as a fan, the spectacle of it.
Yeah.
Like, and you're even seeing when you go back to the social media stuff, like there's trendy aspects of that stuff that do, again, encompass and paint that bigger picture of what you're trying to do. And you have a sophomore who might get 2 or 3 minutes a game, but they're on that bench. Got that energy. I like that word.
Yeah, there's something about being, even if you're not playing a lot on that bench, it's just a different atmosphere. It's like being in the locker room on Friday night.
Right.
It's like, even if you're not on the field, it's just something special about getting to be right there in front of the action and a part of it. So, yeah, they're hardworking. You could, a lot of adjectives to describe them, but cohesive. They just play so good together. That's why the Jamboree was kind of like, this seems off.
Right.
This is not us.
Something not clicking.
So we're going to go back and revisit some things. And what was cool was the application from practices to the game last night.
You mentioned application at the beginning.
Huge. And when girls can do that, sky's the limit. Like, that showed me more last night than anything last year or anything I've really seen in my career, honestly, is that application aspect.
Well, 21-point win to start the season at a new conference. I don't know that you could have wrote a better script to start it, right?
No, that was perfection. I mean, if perfection was a thing, that was it. 21-point win on the road at Webb City, COC opponent. Two of your captains leading the way. Morgan with 27 points.
Oh wow.
Myers with 20 points and almost a double-double. She had 9 boards. Morgan hit 6 threes.
There you go. That confidence. She shot it.
We talked about the social media aspect. I did the huddle assist this morning. We do plus minuses. It's like how productive you are in a game. Right. Everybody was in the plus. Even my bench kids, even the kids that came off the bench late, everyone was in the plus. So it's like positive minutes, like huge.
How many are you having in the rotation?
I've got 7 main. I got the 5 seniors. I got a junior. That's my point guard. And then my 4, my trigger man is the Bradbury girl, is a sophomore, really super athletic. She reminds me of Reagan a lot. She's going to be a good player. But I've got 2 seniors that come off the bench too, and Hilton and Bybee that just – Bybee had 6 points last night, quality minutes, played defense. Hilton blocked a ton of shots, got a bunch of boards, hit a couple free throws. So, I mean, the productivity part off the bench is huge. Like, it just makes it so much easier to play people. And then I got a couple young ones, a couple sophomores, Matila Massey, and then a freshman, Harper Starnes. That's good quality guards. So we're excited about them.
So if someone's made it through the rambling and listened to the girl dad talk and reminiscing about all of high school and Coach Payne, if someone was watching this and they're going to tune in tonight, or they're going to hopefully come out and check us out at Boswell Auditorium, what will they see and know that the girls are listening to you? Does that make sense? Like, how can they watch and understand what you're kind of instilling in the girls?
Well, hopefully they're diving on the floor. Hopefully that energy, like I said, is shining through. We're going to play fast, and hopefully our legs are with us. Quick turnaround. That's not ideal early in the season, but we're going to play fast. We're going to play hard. They're going to play for each other, and they're going to run through a wall for me because they know I love them, and they know I'll do anything for them. And so that's kind of a two-way street. They're going to reciprocate that to me, and hopefully we'll have another 20-point win tonight.
Awesome. Well, Coach, I appreciate you taking the time. I know you got a big game tonight.
Yep.
Hope you guys have a happy Thanksgiving. Don't watch too much YouTube.
Yeah, I'll try to stay off the YouTube.
Get another pack of markers.
You have to get some markers. You have to get some fresh markers for Ramsey.
You going to give the girls some time off?
Yeah. Well, so tonight we'll play tonight. Hopefully have a great outcome, and then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday they're going to have for their families. So.
And then what's next week looking like?
Next week is varsity's at the Fairgrove tournament on Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Pending a Fairgrove State Championship game that might change to Saturday for that last game, and then our JVs at the Marshfield tournament Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Awesome. Well, I know myself and Brian, we're looking forward to highlighting the girls some more. We'll have them on some episodes of Jacket Talk about some of that. But I can't thank you enough for joining us. We're ending all these with Go Jackets. So I'm going to say it, and you got to say it.
All right.
Some get confused, but Go Jackets.
Go Jackets.